Hello, everyone. This is the Movie Night Society. We are talking about the Blair Witch movies. We talked about the original film, The Blair Witch Project, last week for Halloween, and we figured why not continue with the series? There's only three movies in total. There's the original, there's the film we're talking about today, which is Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Not Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows. Just you got to get it right. And then there was the 2016 reboot, soft sequel, whatever you want to call it, uh, that we'll talk about next week. And yeah, we watched Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2.
Boy, did we.
Uh, this is, I think, my second time seeing it. I believe it's your first, right?
It is.
I'm really
And hopefully last.
I'm really I mean, I knew what your reaction was going to be to this movie, but I just want to hear you say it.
Oh, okay. Should I just give like quick thoughts then?
Yeah, yeah.
Or do we just want to like kind of go into it?
I don't know. What do you think? Because it's quite a movie.
That's yeah. It's a movie.
I guess let's explain
I gotta
just real quick.
Okay, go
Well,
ahead.
you okay? Well, I just want to explain real quick what the movie is kind of like.
Yeah,
I
that's fine.
guess because the first film is obviously found footage. It's done in the style of like, hey, these teenagers went into the woods 5 years ago, and their footage was finally recovered, and they made a documentary out of the footage that they found. That's the premise of the first one, and then this one is like a reenactment of something that happened to another group of uh, people that went into the same woods 5 years after uh, the the events of the footage in the Blair Witch Project. And so it is a cinematic movie. It is not like a found footage style, although the beginning kind of has some documentary style bits. But that's the premise of Blair Witch 2. So I'm gonna call it Blair Witch 2 instead of Book of Shadows because it's kind of easier to say. But yeah, what did you want to say first?
I guess I'll just say that I at least applaud this movie for not just being a worse like version of the first film. At
Yeah,
least this felt like it was trying to be its own thing, and I'll at least applaud it for that. But I just gotta say, I was not a big fan of this movie.
no, I wasn't either. I remember watching it the first time, and I mean, I knew it was gonna suck. Like, it's gonna suck. You know, like
My
when you hear
expectations
like,
were already pretty low.
yeah, when you hear like, oh, a Blair Witch Project sequel, it's like, well, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah,
Like, because the first movie is so perfect and just like how it just wraps itself up while not giving anything away. And I'm glad that this movie doesn't really like it doesn't feel like it like ruins the mythology or anything of the first movie to
no,
me.
probably because it feels like it has so little to do with the first one,
Yeah.
really.
So like you said, like I kind of appreciate that it didn't like try this crazy like here's like this the another one,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I at least got to applaud them for doing something different. I'll at
Yeah.
least give them that.
But yeah, I didn't like it the first time, and watching it again, I was hoping that I would like it a little bit more or appreciate it, just for like being its own thing, I guess. But it just stinks, man. Like it just like isn't good. I don't know
Yeah.
what to say. Like I
Mhm.
tried to get into it, and I don't know. I tried my best. I was like, I don't know. I was getting like
I was
bored and
I was trying
annoyed.
to as well. I kept having this back and forth thing with the characters where it's like I kind of like some of them, and then I'd go like, no, I don't like any of them. And it's like,
uh,
it's kind of fun. Like they're kind of fun sometimes, and other times they're just kind of annoying. I don't usually
Yeah.
have this much back and forth between like the whole cast of characters in the movie, but that just kind of kept happening to me throughout this whole thing. Where it's like, do I like them? No. Oh, they're okay. No, I don't like them. No.
Okay.
Just
I'll
me.
say my reaction to the characters at least was I really liked this character that I have in the background. I
Yeah,
thought
she's
she was
fine.
solid the whole way through. Like I
Yeah,
didn't really
she's pretty
have
fine.
yeah, I didn't have any issues with like performance or like how her character was written or anything. Uh every other character is like either in the beginning especially like really obnoxious and then
Yeah.
in the serious moments I felt like all these actors aside from her were like really not convincing. Like
Yeah, a bit
I'm
of
not usually one
overacting.
to yeah, overacting like there were a lot of moments in this where I was like laughing really hard when I wasn't supposed to be.
Hmm.
And like it was just kind of jarring, I guess. Like I don't know, it's like is this movie supposed to be like bad intentionally or something? Is it like supposed to be like making fun of, you know, reenactment style things, but it doesn't feel like it's really copying the style of those types of things either.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, it's like every actor except for her Kim director. I think a lot of the characters have the names of the actors playing them, or at least
Oh,
she does. So her name is Kim in the movie, and the actress is Kim director, which is a funny last name for an actor.
yeah.
But like I thought she was solid the whole way through. I didn't feel like,
Yeah.
oh,
I think
like
she
that
had the
was
most
funny
solid
or
performance.
yeah.
Like what you were saying, I agree. I think her performance all around was. It never felt like she was really over the top or overacting, whereas like all the other ones, there were definitely moments that they were doing that, and it kind of
Yeah,
takes you
and
out a
she
little
was
bit because it's like I don't think the movie is trying to be this way. Kind of like what you were saying was like, or is it? You know, is this movie smart or dumb? I'm not sure even
yeah,
it knows.
and I think I heard this before uh like after seeing the movie the first time I saw it, like years back. I don't even know how long it's been since the first time I seen this movie, but looking at the Wikipedia, like apparently this movie was like really heavily altered during uh post production. Like they added in like a new soundtrack and I think reshot footage, I believe, and like added new scenes and
Hmm.
edited it like differently. Um so the director I think has like kind of disowned this movie.
Mm.
Uh so I have no idea what the original cut is like. I don't even know if it's out there. Um but it'd be kind of interesting to see that because I
Yeah,
feel
maybe that would be
like
better than what we got.
yeah, I kind of I don't know. I like the idea of this movie. The idea of like a meta movie about like the sort of like phenomenon of the Blair Witch Project and like what kind of impact it had. I like in the beginning where it's kind of showing uh all these like news stations and like talk show hosts like talking about the Blair Witch Project. Uh and saying like, oh, I saw it like and it was like really terrifying and stuff and talking about and I think those are like real news clips and talk show bits, I believe, like stuff with Conan O'Brien and I think Jay Leno they showed. It's
Yeah.
like that was like kind of neat at the beginning, and I thought that the documentary part in the beginning, except for the one guy who was like a part of the main story,
Hmm.
is like everyone's like pretty good in that part, like acting wise. It felt like they really just went out to Burkittsville, Maryland, and like interviewed people, but I don't think they did.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know, there was like an interesting idea here that maybe worked in the original cut, but of course
Yeah.
we're just talking about this one. So and it really is, I don't know, it's kind of a mess. I don't know how else to describe it.
I don't
Like
either.
just basically. It's so bizarre. It's got really strange like structure and pacing. Uh I don't know. It's basically like a group of 5 people go out into the same woods in Burkittsville, Maryland, and they're basically like the main guy, played by Jeffrey Donovan, who I've seen in other stuff. I think he was in like Bird Notice, um, and he's like he owns like a tour, like he like gives tours through the forest or whatever, even though this is the first time he's done it. And like he gets like 4 other people on the tour with him, and then something what happened. I just saw the movie. I'm like trying to piece it together because it jumps back and forth between like the main
Yeah,
stuff that's going on, and then
doesn't before it show
so,
that too? It shows like the main guy in this type of insane asylum too,
yeah, like he was yeah,
which I
in
never
an
thought that
insane
they really
asylum before.
explained why he was there. Did
No,
it
it just feels
ever?
like it honestly just feels like it's supposed to be misdirection.
Yeah,
Like
because
there's no
I,
conclusion to
I
it.
kept figuring since they were showing that they were going to do like a, obviously this is kind of towards the end of the film, but it was going to be the twist where he was kind of behind everything because it's like, well, why else are they showing him being in this insane asylum? Like he set the whole thing up, he's behind everything, but that's not really where it went. So
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know what the point of
bizarre.
that was.
I don't know. I really think it's just there as a red herring. Like you're supposed to think that, and then surprise, that's not what it is. And what really happened is kind of confusing. And I still
Yeah.
don't know if I can wrap my head around it.
Yeah, it doesn't make me think you're clever, movie. It just makes me think you're stupid.
Yeah. uh, yeah. So they like all get on this tour with there's the main guy, yeah, Jeffrey Donovan's character. I don't remember all their names. Okay, it seems like they're using the same names that they have in real life. So it's Jeffrey, and then there's Erica, who's like the Wiccan character, and then the couple that are like writing a book on sort of like mass hysteria together, and they're like going on this tour to like research the effects of the Blair Witch Project, essentially. And then there's Kim, who I don't know, she was kind of cool. She was just like, oh yeah, I just like the movie. Like I just wanted to see like where it took place. It's like, okay, yeah, that's like pretty
Yeah, you
grounded
think with
and
like
reasonable.
how this is, and she's like kind of this goth girl, like, oh, I'm just like really into the occult and dark stuff and everything. But I liked it. It's like I just like thought the movie was cool, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah, it's like they could have easily gone over the top with this character, and I'm
Yeah,
glad they didn't, because someone
she's like the
needed to
one
be
character
grounded
that
here.
worked.
Yeah. Oh man, the Wiccan girl like is so over the top in this. Like
Hmm.
every single line she says, I think, is like about some kind of Wiccan thing.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
I
like,
kept thinking the
okay,
movie
I
was also trying to throw us off there too. Like she keeps saying like, oh, witches aren't that bad. We're not the bad guys, and she'd get very defensive like anytime they thought any like kind of witch stuff was going on. It's like, are they just gonna do like the whole thing like, trust me, bro, I'm a good witch, and then like it turns out she's behind everything. It's like if that ends up being the twist, it's gonna be the most predictable twist. But at least that's not what happened. But again, it's
yeah,
it's like they were trying to make it seem like that was gonna be the twist.
yeah.
That's all it was kind of
Uh
there for.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, pretty much. It's just kind of yeah, it's there. Uh I don't know. If there's one thing that I wish that this movie took from the original film is just kind of like giving you enough time to really like these characters.
Yeah,
It it just kind of like throws too much at you at once, and the beginning feels really like chop chop, like we got to keep moving, like
yeah. There's
we got
really
to
no
get
time
through
to
every
process
character.
anything.
Yeah, it's really weird. And there's no like I don't know, there's no real likability to these characters that is like I don't know, that is really felt. Like I liked the Kim character, but she wasn't like I don't know. She was good, but
She was
it was
likable
more
at
just
least.
through like simple lines,
Hmm.
not really like because like in the first, the original movie, you get like all these scenes with like Heather and Josh and Mike, and it's I don't know, it just kind of makes you like them and you see them as real people, and then you feel bad when they go through everything. And this, it's just kind of like they really do just feel like movie characters from like
Yeah,
a late '90s, early 2000s movie, and that's all they really feel like.
pretty much.
It's
Yeah,
they feel like slasher movie fodder, you
yeah.
know? They feel like
Mm.
characters that are just kind of there for you to like follow until they die, and that's really it. But
Yeah,
this isn't a slasher movie. Like it's like a sequel to the Blair Witch Project. Like
yeah.
it's so weird. Uh and again, if they like I don't know, if they played into that more, if they played into like this idea that it's a reenactment more, then maybe it would have been interesting. You could have had like sort of like a post scene at the end, or something like, or interviews with like the real people that are, that they're portraying or something, and it would like, cut back and forth between them or something like that.
Mm.
It could have done something interesting like that. Like I haven't seen it in a while, but there's a movie called The Fourth Kind that kind of did that, where it's like, oh, this really happened, this like alien abduction thing, and it's like part reenactment documentary, and then it's like half like found footage, uh and it like sometimes plays the two scenes like side by side. It's kind of a neat idea, at least. I didn't really love the movie, but it's like it's a cool idea. And it's like it could have been something interesting, but
Mm.
we're just talking about what it could have been. What happens, like really, they all get like drunk or something,
Yeah, they all go.
and
They go to the woods, and I guess where the
yeah,
they said like where a house used to be, and I wasn't sure like what house, like the Blair Witch's house, or like the house that
I
was
guess
supposed to be
at
there.
the
And like
end of the movie,
okay, yeah, that's what I
the
thought, but
first movie.
I wasn't sure. And then they make a remark where there's like a tree there that wasn't supposed to be there, and then
Yeah,
they that never really comes up again, except I guess when they're looking at the footage in certain parts. So then
no,
it shows them getting all I don't know, wasted and drunk and everything. Then they wake up
yeah,
and they find like all their equipment is smashed up, and like all the papers that they were writing are all torn up and everything. And it's almost just like The Hangover, where they blacked out and they have no idea what's going on, and now they got to try to find out what happened while they were blacked out.
the Blair Witch Hangover.
Yeah, I mean this came before The
This-
Hangover, but that's what it just kind of made me think of. It's like this is just the Blair Witch Hangover.
I want to say that was like, oh god, that was a. Do you remember like demo reel, like the post nostalgia critic thing that Doug Walker did,
Uh, I remember hearing about it, but never
where it
really
was like
watched any.
it was like skits. I like remember there's an episode called The Blair Witch Hangover. I didn't watch it because it sounded terrible, but that is apparently a thing. Uh, because I was like, Blair Witch Hangover. That sounds familiar. Um, God. But yeah, it really is that. Like, they're like, what the fuck happened? Where's all the footage and everything? All the cameras are smashed up. All the writings, yeah, are torn up. And uh, oh yeah, and then the girlfriend uh of in the couple, like, who are writing the paper or book or whatever, she's pregnant, but she has a miscarriage.
Yeah,
And
you
so
knew,
they
and
like,
I knew as soon as she said she was pregnant, like they're gonna lose that baby. It's a
yeah,
horror film. They're gonna lose it.
yeah. And it was strange too, because Kim is like psychic too, apparently, and it's never explained, but she just like totally knows
Oh
things
yeah,
that
there were a couple
are
scenes like that. Like I just know. I thought that we maybe explain that, but
nope, the never
yeah, she
explained.
she just knows stuff, and then they ask her.
Yeah, she
I kind of
just
liked her
knows
response, like
she's
I just
pregnant.
know,
Yeah.
like I just know.
Yeah, but it's like she's like, look in the hole over there, and you know, and the tapes are there. It's like, how did she know that? Like, she just
She just knows.
knows. She
She just
has
knows.
psychic
Yeah,
powers,
yeah.
apparently.
It's because she's goth.
Yes, all
Different
goths
power
are
are psychic.
psychic. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, again, I'm glad that her character wasn't like annoying though. I feel like that could have really been just like, God, that could have been really annoying, like the Wiccan character. Um,
Yeah.
but
Thankfully, she wasn't. But those scenes were pretty
yeah,
funny.
but yeah, so yeah, I forgot her name already. Tristan, the pregnant woman, like has a miscarriage, so they rush her to a hospital in Burkittsville, and then they're like, "Well, we're gonna stay overnight, I guess, so that she can, you know, rest up." So Jeffrey, I keep wanting to say Jeremy, but I think it's Jeffrey,
I think it's
Jeffrey
Jeffrey.
Donovan.
You're
Yeah,
right.
Jeffrey is like, "Oh, why don't you stay at my place?" And he like has this rundown building, just, and he's like, "Yeah, I talked the owner into selling it to me for $1." I was like, "Who the hell would sell this
Yeah.
building for $1? Like, it's kind of awesome." like, like, it's so weird. And
Pretty
then
much.
yeah, everyone stays there, and then it basically just becomes like a psychological thriller, but again, not in like the first film where, you know, it's all presented in found footage, and they're out in the woods the whole time. It's like it's cinematic, and it just kind of feels, I don't know, like half baked. It just feels like it's throwing a bunch of like misdirection at you, you know,
Yeah. Hmm.
until it's over. And then I don't know. I don't know. What were some like interesting scenes? Like, what were some of your favorite moments, Will, in the Blair Witch 2?
Oh, good. You know what? You know which character I actually did kind of like? Like whenever he was on the screen, I was like, okay,
Oh,
I kind of like this character.
was it the cop?
Yes, with a
Yeah.
mustache.
Okay, I liked the cop.
Yeah, he was
He
kind of
was fun.
fun.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
not the only one.
I really liked the scene where I think the cop's name is Craven or something like that. It's like such a
Was it
great,
Raven the
yeah,
Hunter?
Cravens. Ronald Cravens is his character's
Ravens.
name. But
Craven the
he's
Hunter,
like,
baby.
he like calls uh Jeffrey, and because earlier, you know, they were uh making a police report because all their footage got smashed and all the papers were destroyed. And there was also another tour group that was going through that passed by them, and they kind of had beef with each other for that scene. And they're like, "Oh, they probably smashed all the equipment and stuff." So they make a police report, and then later on, uh, the cop Cravens calls Jeffrey, and he's like, "Turn on the TV or whatever," and he's like, they're showing like, oh, that other tour group got murdered, like all their bodies were found in like a ritualistic, they were all like put together in like a pentagram shape or something, which is kind of a cool idea that I don't remember if that was mentioned in the first movie or not, because they mention it's like from the first movie
I
or
don't
something like
remember that
that.
ever being in the first movie.
That might have been something on the website or something, you know,
Yeah, maybe. So I
like
don't
in
think
the
it in the actual
extended
movie.
lore.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think in the movie itself.
I don't think so. Maybe it's in like the beginning when all the townspeople are talking, but I don't remember
Maybe.
anything like that. But it's like a cool idea. And yeah, like the cop is like there at the scene, and he's like, and Jeffrey's watching the news report of it, and then like the cop is still there, and he's
I
like,
was like, wait, you see me? Well,
he's like, yeah, he's like waving to the camera, like talking to Jeffrey. I don't know why. That was like such a funny scene.
that was pretty funny.
It's like I
Any
don't
scene
know
with
if this
the
movie
cop was
is.
funny because he was just so over the top and just the way he
Yeah,
talked, and it was just funny. Like,
yeah,
can
yeah.
he be the main character? I'll have him as the main character, like hunting the
Oh,
Blair
that'd be
Witch or
great.
something.
Uh, he had some like pretty funny lines. I'm gonna try to look them up. Uh, uh, man, I can't really remember, but he that guy had really good like delivery. It was fun.
Best character easily.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, him and Kim were like I think the best characters.
You know, I
Uh,
don't really get like the whole scenes and everything, like with the other group of tourists that gets killed. Like, what
yeah,
ultimately was kind of like the point.
they're just kind of flashed in every now and then just to like spice up the movie. Like I don't
Yeah,
even know.
I
Like what
guess.
is it? It just made it feel more confusing, honestly. And like
Yeah.
I've seen the movie before.
Mm.
Like
Yeah, there were
it
definitely
just
some
feels like
parts of
what
this
is
hard to
the
follow.
yeah, it's weird. And I don't I feel like that was like probably a re-edit, right?
Probably.
Like
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
yeah, because it's so like jarring.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they just keep splicing in footage of I guess I mean we're already in spoilers and everything, obviously, but like they're just like at the end it's revealed that the five of them were all crazy. Like they just underwent some kind of mass hysteria and murdered all the other the tour members from the other group. Um, and so they're like just splicing in scenes from that here and there, and yeah, there's really no point to it. It's just kind of like, and I don't know. Honestly, it kind of made me feel like this is playing your hand. You know, this is like showing your hand a bit too early. Like you should save this for the ending,
Hmm.
even though they're not showing who did it. It's like after they show it enough times, it's like okay, yeah, someone killed like either this group or the other group or something. I don't know. And it's weird too because like they keep cutting back and forth between what's happening in the present and then like the police interviewing
Yeah,
the
that
three
felt a little
survivors
jarring
afterward.
too, because they kept
Because
flashing
it's
forward to
like
that. What's the point?
yeah, it's like why show us that? You know, now we know
Yeah.
that they lived
Yeah.
and it's just again, it's more confusing than anything for me at least.
No, it
Because
was confusing for me too.
yeah, because the psychological thriller like nature of everything is like you know you got to have your twist and your reveal and all that of what really is going on, and it's just kind of I don't know, it's just weird, uh, because then it also just clues us into the like the idea, like even if it didn't happen, it clues you into the idea that like oh maybe they really did it, you know, but um yeah I don't know. There's like weird strange things in this movie, like when they get to Jeffrey's building or whatever, his home, like he has like a thing on his door that when you open the door, it just like plays a
It's like
clip of like dogs
burglary
barking.
alarm. Who's gonna be like
Yeah,
trying to rob his place where he lives, like in the middle of the woods?
yeah, it's like so weird. And then later on, he hallucinates that there are real dogs there, like across the
Yeah,
bridge,
I
and he
don't know
like
what's
gets a
going on with that.
shotgun out, like he's gonna kill these dogs that
Yeah,
are
it's like,
like
oh, not
on
the
the other
dogs.
side, and the bridge just collapsed at this point, so they're like they can't get to the house, but he like just immediately goes for the shotgun.
I guess because at
I
this
think that
point,
was literally
he's going crazy at this point. So
yeah, he's getting all riled up and shit. It's like this is stupid. Like I don't know.
yeah, it was pretty stupid. What was the point of this? Just kept thinking that with so
Yeah.
many different scenes in this movie. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, and they're not like creative or anything. You know, like I can understand like people probably have like an issue with psychological thrillers and stuff and more surreal storytelling, but I really like it when it's creative. Like I feel like the Lighthouse is like a good example of like a psychological thriller that I think really works and like has
Yeah,
really memorable imagery and scenes in it.
Lighthouse
Uh
was definitely a lot better than this movie. That's for sure.
yes.
Not even close.
Uh and it's I don't know, it's just like what's like the scares and the creativity in this movie? It's like that
Nothing.
girl shows up and like walks backward
Ooh,
and fades.
scary. Blair
It's so
Witch. Ooh.
it made me laugh. Like
I
it
know it
made
is
me
funny
laugh
because
every
it's
time
just
it showed
so
up on screen.
yeah, it was just so silly
Yeah,
and
just like
just
boo, and
feels like it
then
doesn't even
I'll
belong in
back
this
it up.
movie. It's like, ah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
again,
just pretty dumb.
if this was like a parody of, you know, sort of like because I feel like a lot of there's certain sequels out there for horror movies that like almost kind of make fun of the first movie, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 or like Gremlins 2, where they sort of like go like, okay, let's like kind of make fun of the first one a little bit because it's like, well, how else are we supposed to follow it up? If this movie took that approach, then I think it would be interesting. And again, maybe it was supposed to be that, but who knows? Um, yeah, this movie's like an hour and a half too, and it really feels longer. um, Also on Tubi, we watched it on Tubi, and like they play ads in the middle, and that
Yeah,
kind of made it feel long too.
yeah. I think I
Uh,
got there was one time where I got like 5 ads or something. It's like, oh my
yeah, I
goodness.
know.
It's like it's like you said, this movie feels long enough. I don't need ads making it feel longer, especially when it does like 5 ads.
I know. It's crazy. Um, yeah, and it's weird. This movie just feels like a TV movie, and
Yeah, it really
again, that would
does.
work. It would work again if they played more into the reenactment, idea. Like maybe this is a TV documentary, you know? Because like TV documentaries tend to be kind of cheesy like that, and like ghost hunting shows or like crime shows like have those kind of cheesy reenactments. So that could have worked, but I don't know. I think this movie needed to like maybe play it more in the middle or something. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other weird, interesting scenes. They go to this like convenience store on the way to the house, and everyone there is just like weird or off. Uh, because like, oh, it's out in the middle of nowhere and everyone's weird. Uh, I looked up like Burkittsville, Maryland, the actual town in real life. I think the last time they did a census or whatever, the population was like 151. It's like a
Really?
really small
That's
town.
small. Wow.
That's apparently if I was reading it correctly. Burkittsville. I'll look it up again. But like, and I almost thought like maybe it's not a real town. Maybe they just made it up for the movie. But no, it does seem
Lo
like
and
it's a real
behold, it's
town.
real. It's
Yeah, the
real, baby.
2010 or census was yeah 151. That's pretty crazy. Um, I don't know if they do anything, Blair Witch related anymore. Um, um, it probably like I don't know. I wonder how much of that documentary footage in the beginning was real or how much was staged. Because I'd believe everything that the like they're saying, that like, oh yeah, like people just like come in and like film here now and want to see where everything was filmed in the movie and all that stuff. It's like it's interesting. Like I wish they played into it more. Uh trying to think. I mean, what are some like scenes in this movie? There's like the thing with the the boyfriend uh hallucinating the Wiccan girl Erica.
Oh yeah, them like doing it.
It, yeah, and it
That led to
doesn't go
nothing.
anywhere. Yeah, it doesn't go anywhere. The whole thing
That's
with
so there's so
the
many scenes
ghost,
in this movie that feels like it goes nowhere, leads to
yeah,
nothing. It's
the
pointless.
ghost child doesn't lead to anything either. It's like, what is it there for? Just to be there?
Just to
Just to
be
be
there, I
like
guess.
scary?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Again, I'm imagining this done in like a, because we watched Hell House, but we also, the two of us watched Hell House 2 and 3 afterward, and like those had the second movie especially had like, you know, interesting stuff where they like play, you know, someone's phone call, the 911 or whatever, or like, you know, play someone's footage of going into the house. It would have been neat to have like, I don't know, stuff like that playing alongside the cinematic stuff. Anyway, I keep saying that, but can't happen now. This movie already exists. Um, yeah, it's like that went nowhere. Um, there was like a scene too, real fast, of like uh Kim like looks over to Jeffrey. Jeffrey's like looking at the computer, and then he like turns around, and like Kim sees a flash of like someone getting electrocuted in a wheel in an electric chair. Like, who was that? Was that
I think it's supposed to be Jeffrey.
is it? I don't know. It
That
looked
was
like a
my
completely
guess.
different person to me,
I
but
don't remember. I thought it was supposed to be him.
because what?
She like
Why?
seen his figure or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It never goes anywhere. Again.
Again, yeah, and I don't know. I thought maybe it's supposed to be like Rustin Parr or something, because they mentioned Rustin Parr in the first movie, that he was like the person who like, you know, killed the kids and like made one of them look into the corner. I think that's who like who that was. So like I was like, maybe that's Rustin Parr. Well, who cares? Like, why does it matter? It's not like Rustin Parr is like in this movie. It's not even really like anything happens in this movie specifically. It's just kind of like a, oh, this was a weird occurrence, and then that's it. I don't know, because yeah, the reveal is like they all were crazy and were not. They were basically all seeing things, and they like play the footage at the end of like what they were really doing, because they imagine that Tristan is like going crazy, and she's like putting a rope around her neck, and they're on like the second floor, and that they imagine that basically like she was going crazy, and then her boyfriend like accidentally pushes her or whatever, she like hangs herself, and then it's like revealed that like, oh, they were basically terrorizing her and saying like,
Yeah.
you're
And
doing all this.
I saw that twist coming.
Yeah.
It felt really obvious, like what they were, especially since I think at that point, weren't there some scenes where they like we saw things happening and then they would watch the videotapes or they'd be shown videotapes and it isn't quite what we saw. Didn't that happen like before?
I think so.
I think so too. I just watched this today too. I don't remember.
Yeah. Again, I applaud them for doing a different thing than the first movie, of like, instead of like, oh, people disappear in the woods or whatever. I like the idea of like this mass hysteria affecting people, and like these woods are kind of affecting people. That's neat, but the execution of this particular like story is so, yeah, sloppy. Um and yeah, it's like revealed like, oh, Kim went to the convenience store, you know, a little bit earlier. and like killed someone there that was like kind of harassing her. Um, and yeah, they it's revealed like, oh, she thought she just left, and instead, in reality, she killed her. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool. I don't know. It's like weird too. The movie just kind of ends. There's no like epilogue or anything.
Yeah.
It's not like, this is what happened to them after they were shown the footage or anything. It's just like kind of ends on that twist, and that's it. Like, I don't know. Um, the acting is like so over the top. The boyfriend character is like just, like really overacting.
Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely.
uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of other things to say about the movie. The music sucked.
Mm.
I mean, like, I like, you know, heavy metal and hard rock and stuff, but I don't know. When you put it in a horror movie, it's like this isn't fucking scary, you
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
Um, it's like the end credits are like some rock song, and it's like, okay, cool song, I guess, but it doesn't like evoke any emotion in me of fear or like anything like that.
Yeah,
Again,
and it
like
just feels like so not connected to the first one at all. Like really, you could take
yeah,
out the whole Blair Witch stuff and not miss anything.
yeah, it really feels like someone wanted to make a completely different movie and
Yeah.
then just saw an opportunity to make it as like a Blair Witch sequel, I guess. But why? The first movie never needed a sequel. There's no point. Um,
Pretty much.
yeah, and yeah, I don't know. The only time the music worked for me was like uh like someone's listening to like Rob Zombie's Dracula in the background. And it's like, okay, well that makes sense at least. Someone's listening to it in universe. It's not like the movie is trying to get an emotional reaction out of you by playing this fucking rock song. Like, I don't
Mm.
know. It's
Yeah.
so weird. So maybe that I think that was another change by the studio or whatever. Um, really dumb. Uh, I think I said last when we talked about the first movie that like again that first movie feels so like kind of weirdly timeless, even though it's like so specific and like how it's filmed and everything. Um, but like this movie, it like feels so much more dated than the original.
Oh yeah.
You know,
This definitely
feels
feels
like
like a '90s movie.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it was
Whereas like the original, kind of
2000.
like you said, feels almost timeless. I mean, obviously you can tell like with the cameras they shot on and everything, they're not
Yeah,
using HD cameras, so it probably isn't taking place in this time, but doesn't I think it feels fairly timeless. Like it could take place anytime. They just I guess your reasoning would just be that they have I don't know, bad cameras or something like that. But it feels like it could just take like with the setting and the characters and the story, it all feels like it could just take place whenever, not just necessarily in the '90s. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Really, the only thing is like, it took place in a time where like consumer grade cameras were getting more like popular, and that they are film students like who are using these cameras and stuff. They're shooting on film, but yeah, it really is like such a simple idea that like it does feel so much more timeless than like this movie with all of its like just I don't know, all the talk about like I don't know, like Wiccan stuff and goth stuff, and those are still things that are around today, but it just feels like the way they portray it feels so like of its time.
Yeah.
It feels so like late 90s, early 2000s. Like, I don't know. It's so, and yeah, all the rock music and stuff. Again, not digging on rock music or whatever, or
Yeah, because we both love
just
rock
like,
music, but it's
yeah,
not really in here.
yeah, it's just like you need to use the appropriate tone. Like, come on. uh
Ay,
yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else to say. It's
do
like,
we have to say any more about this movie? I'm 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 okay done just being done talking about it.
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It's not that good. There's really not a whole lot
Yeah.
of redeeming qualities it has to it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really like an obnoxious experience. Like, I don't think I got across like how annoyed I was with the movie. Like, it really is just like hard to follow. Like 80% of the characters are like annoying and pretty unlikable. And they don't feel like real people either. Like, again, that was like one thing that was so great about the first movie is like these feel like real people. Even like when they're unlikable, they feel like real people. And this, like, I know it's supposed to be a reenactment, but like, come on, it just feels like so lame. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have much else to say. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess I get okay. I'll say one more thing. The director of the movie, or the one who has like kind of abandoned or disowned this, he does actually make documentaries now. Like, he
Oh,
makes documentaries about like serial killers, like true crime stuff. He did like I'm gonna look up real quick. He did like confession conversations with the killer, the Ted Bundy tapes, like a few years ago. This year he did conversations with the killer, the John Wayne Gacy tapes. Um, so he does like these docu series and stuff for Netflix. So like, I don't know. It's kind of interesting because like Blair Witch 2, I think, is his first movie he directed on his own. I think he directed stuff with another
hmm.
uh, person before, but kind of neat. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I thought I just mentioned that because it seems like the guy kind of got screwed on this movie. So I don't
Mhm.
know, give him a little credit. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here to like find something to talk about
Yeah, you
this
gotta be
movie.
grasping at those straws to find something. That's for sure.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. I guess we should rate it now. Uh, I don't know who goes first.
You go, go.
Okay. I'll say it wasn't the worst thing I've seen. Uh, but like, man, it really is like a pretty terrible movie. Um, if it was more straightforward, I'd be a little bit more, you know, leaning towards like, oh, it's at least kind of so bad it's good. Because I was laughing a lot. Like my like I told my dad I was gonna watch this movie, and like I'm in the upstairs and he's like, yeah, I heard you like laughing all the way like from down here at the movie. Like, it must have been pretty bad. But I don't know, it's not a good like so bad it's a good movie needs like really fucking funny moments. And like, this really doesn't have anything that I can like remember. Uh Again, I found certain things really funny, but I just can't think of them. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna forget this movie in like a day or two, I feel.
Mm, yep.
Um yeah, I feel comfortable giving it one out of five. I'm not
One out
giving
of
it
five.
half a star just because I want to see what 2016 Blair Witch does to me. Because I remember really hating 2016 Blair
Mm,
Witch. Because again, at least this movie, it doesn't feel like a bastardization of the Blair Witch Project or anything to me. It doesn't feel like it like ruins, you know, the mythology or the presence of the first movie, where I feel like the 2016 one really did that for me.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I don't know. I one out of five.
1 out of
Yeah,
5.
yeah, pretty terrible.
Yeah, I was kind of bouncing back and forth between a 1 and a 1.5. But just can't think of. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen or anything like that. It
No,
has some entertainment value, but it just feels like few and far between. For moments that are just flat out boring. Just this was such a pointless scene. Nothing happened. I don't like the characters. Um, yeah, I think I'll probably just give it a 1 as well.
yeah,
I just I wasn't even really laughing. You probably at least were having a better time than me. I just kept wanting this movie to be over. I don't think I laughed at really anything. There were some parts where it's like
okay.
this was kind of funny, but I
I,
didn't
I'll
laugh
say
at how
one.
bad it was.
I'll say one scene that I do remember that made me laugh really hard.
Okay.
It was when at the very end when they're showing the boyfriend the tape of them actually killing Tristan, his girlfriend, and he like pushes her off and like she gets like hanged, and then he just turns to the camera. He's like, "Fucking witch!"
Oh yeah, that was kind
like,
of funny.
like what the fuck? What is that line? Like
I
it's
think
so
he delivered it too. Okay, yeah, I
like
do
I
remember that.
know. Yeah, it's like
It's
I
like
can't tell if this actor like knew he was in a bad movie and just like said fuck it and just went for it,
ad lib.
or what, but like he is so over the top
That was
that it
pretty over
was
the top.
really
But
funny.
yeah, that was kind of funny. You're right.
I didn't like the
I didn't really laugh
character,
at it,
but
but I was like, oh, okay.
I loved the performance. I didn't like the character
Yeah.
though. But
Yeah, it's really at
yeah,
that point like they didn't care. So it's just
yeah, maybe that
but
was one of the reshoots or something. I don't know.
maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I think this is just a 1 out of 5. I like
Yeah,
I
really.
almost want to give it another half star just for the guy with the mustache though. Because I think he did any
I don't
scene he
think
was
he's
in,
in
like
it enough
entertaining. But he's
though.
not in. Yeah, I was about to say he's not in it enough for me to bump it
Yeah.
up half a star just for that. But he almost bumps it a half a star if he had been in it more. I wish like somehow he had gotten trapped in the house with them in like the last third.
Oh,
How cool would
that
that
would have been
have been?
awesome.
Yeah, and like I don't know, like what's the main character's name again? Jeremy?
Jeffrey?
Jeffrey?
No, it was
Been cool
Jeffrey.
if like Jeffrey, like he got his shotgun back and like him and the mustache guy had like a shootout or something in there. Something. Like how
Yeah,
entertaining would that have been? But
I know. Yeah, this movie again, it really needed to go either playing it kind of like self-aware parody, or yeah, just like go completely over the top and know it, you know?
yeah, didn't have the balls to do that.
Yeah. Uh
So
yeah, it
one
really just yeah, 1.
1 out of 5 is fair.
Uh yeah. Uh yeah, I don't have anything else to say really.
I don't either. I'm
Uh
done talking about this movie.
yeah, so we're gonna watch the Blair Witch 2016
I'm actually
film.
excited for this one because I know how much you hate it. So
Yeah.
I doubt I like it either, especially since
Uh
I'm also a big fan of the original, and this is probably gonna suck. But I think just from like your sheer hatred of this movie, I'm looking forward to seeing like what it's all about. Because I would think I probably won't like it either, especially
yeah,
like I said again, like being a fan of the original.
I
So
I know I'm gonna like hate it still, but I'm wondering if I'm gonna like hate it less, or maybe I'll hate it more. I don't even know. I don't know if that's possible, but we'll see.
we shall see.
I am honestly excited to watch it as well.
I'm very curious about this,
Um,
so I'm
maybe I'll
looking
like
forward to
it.
it.
I'm gonna go in with an open mind. I'm not gonna go in like with this idea to hate it. I'm
Well,
gonna try to like
I
it.
have like an image in my mind of like the movie starting up and like the first scene, you're just like, oh gosh, I hate this movie.
I might. It's been like 6 years. I haven't worked. I saw it in the
It's been
theater
that long.
too.
Wow.
Like I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater.
Uh,
And I just remember being like, uh, Yeah. So yeah, we'll see if this 2016 film fares better than this movie. We shall see. Uh, and yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you next time. That's it for
Cheers.
now.
See ya
Bye.
next week. Bye.
Yeah, don't let the Blair Witch get
Bye.
you. Bye.